back to Clair de Lune from scratch. Okay, we're at the home stretch of this second page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect the end of measure 24 into the beginning of measure 25. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Let's go ahead and snip off basically from here. Okay, it's going to look a little weird, but then we'll reconnect the larger context back again a little bit later. Okay, so let's go ahead and copy that. And let's get ourselves a clean worksheet over here. Paste this over here. I'm going to just kind of shrink this so that it's a little easier to read on the page. Okay. In fact, let's go ahead and put this kind of over here. You'll see why in just a bit. Okay. So just to remind us of our clefs, we're in the G clef in both the right hand. Oops, sorry. See, this is habit. I'm so used to drawing the F clef down there. G clef in both hands. All right. So watch out for that. Now, I want to basically work on the transition from here, obviously, to here. Now, before we do, I want to map out something unusual. There's an interesting new symbol over here, and that's called an octave symbol. When you see that, that'll indicate that you play one octave either higher or lower than the notes that are written. If the 8 VA, octava, is written above, you go higher, one octave higher. If it's written below, you go one octave lower. That makes sense. Okay, so let's find these notes really quickly and where they normally would be, just for fun. Okay, so here G clef, right? G clef, and then this would be an A or an A flat. Okay, now I know that this is an octave. Okay, so let's find that middle note really quickly. Great big dogs, that's a D flat in the middle. Okay, so it looks like this over here. Okay, so the octave symbol, the octava simply means instead of playing it here as written, you're going to push the whole thing higher by one octave. So instead of this A flat, go to the next equivalent one higher. Okay? Now, there's one more interesting symbol I want to show you. And this is a beautiful symbol over here. Let's just kind of erase the octave symbol. And that symbol is the squiggly line over here. Can you see these squiggly lines? Okay? Kind of goes like that. That's called a roll. Okay? And that roll, I'll show you in just a second, means instead of playing all the notes all together like this, you're going to play them one at a time, but then hold them after you've played them. So it's going to look like this. Or a little faster. It takes a little bit of practice, but you want to play them first one at a time, making sure you glue your fingers in after you play the notes, and then work on speeding it up like that. Okay? So let's put the whole thing together. I'm just going to remind you where we are here. It's a D flat octave, E flat octave, and then we're going to be leaping. Even though this looks visually like you're going down, because of this octave symbol, we're actually going up. So D flat, E flat, and then we're going to be going up to here. Okay? See how that works? All right? And the fingering is, you probably can see from my hand, but we're using 5 3s on top, 5 3s on top, and then we're going to switch over here to a 5 2 and 1 on the bottom. So, okay? That's how that works over here. Now, let's go ahead and find our left hand notes. Okay, if you recall, okay, we're using our chords over here. It's a B flat over here on top. Okay, we're reading, this is a G clef, G flat on the bottom, middle here, sorry, D flat on the bottom, okay? 1, 2, 5, or I believe it's a 5 we're using here, right? Yes, I believe we're using a 2, 5. And then we're moving up to a 1, 2, 4. Okay, they're almost the same. We just move up to one note over here. Now we move up to this portion over here. Let's take a look at that. Okay, G clef. So G over here. That's an F. All right. And I know that this is an F octave, so that gets us started right off the bat like that. Okay. And so from the reading from the bottom, G, A flat, B flat, C, D flat. Okay, so those 4 notes. So the left hand's a little more challenging, has more notes than the right hand does. Right hand only has 3 notes. So the left hand has 4 notes. Now take a look. It's also going to be rolled. So what you have to do, let me give you the fingering really quickly so you can tell which fingers you're going to be using for that roll. 5, 4, 2, 1. So you want to practice slowly playing one at a time, but then after you play, you have to stick onto the note and stay there. Okay? And then eventually work it out so that you play it fast. Okay? Now, the tricky thing is not to think too hard when you do this, all right? Now, what I recommend One way of doing this is to aim so that the top notes here and here line up together. Okay? So what do I mean? So that's what it should sound like. So lots of different ways to roll, and it's really personal preference. Okay? One idea is to start the left hand first. Okay? Then add the right hand, and then you all end up together at the top of your notes. Kind of like that. Okay? Experiment. Try it out. If you want to start to, you can start together if you like. But I think it's really pretty when you try to end up those top notes together. So here's an idea. Okay, here's an idea for you. If you want to make it a little easier, what you could do, okay, is start. Let me show you what I mean. Start the bottom note by itself, okay? Just the F. And then play the next three notes, these three over here, and then these three kind of in unison. If you want. That's a simple way of rolling it together, like that. And you don't have to keep your hands together. That's one option if you need to work it out slowly, okay? When you get more comfortable, you want to experiment with different ways of rolling. Another option is to do this. All right? I hope I'm not confusing you, but I think one of the most beautiful things about music and art is the fact that you really have a wide sandbox to play in. Here's another option. Start from the bottom and just make just the very top note the end. You don't have to, instead of putting these two together, you could do that. So it sounds like a harp going up the strings. It's more difficult because it involves timing your fingers as such. I think you probably notice I'm doing it different. I'm telling you to hold down your fingers, and you can see me lifting my fingers off. Well, with experience and practice, you can actually just let your, a lot of it is that I've trained my fingers to have precise timing, so I know when they fall. I don't need to rely on holding them for the timing of it. If you feel so inclined, it really does feel nice when you get the hang of it, but if you're not comfortable, it's perfectly legitimate too. And that'll help you kind of find the notes more easily, and then when you feel like showing off, you can let your hands kind of do that floaty thing, okay? So that's an introduction to rolls. This is really one of the most beautiful parts of the piece, and when you really get this down, you're going to have a lot of fun with it. Now, just make sure you work from the previous portion to find that quickly from the notes before, okay? So get from here to here. We want to work on that transition as quickly as you can. All right? So, anyway, give that a try, and if you have any questions about doing this more effectively, let me know, or send me a video response, and I can try to address that more specifically. We're touching on some pretty fancy techniques here, but I think it's great fun to try, and let me know if I can help you get these effects better. Okay, I'll see you at the next lesson.